Here we are inside the Tessoro 463. Firstly, we will come to the main control panel. If we firstly put this button on and then this one, we will then turn the 12 volt on. After that, we then have the water pump. So water pump on. Water pump needs to be on for you to be able to get water out the taps, flush the toilet and fill the boiler if it's been drained. Next we have awning light. And then we have buttons along the bottom that give us mainly information. So this first one here will give us information regarding the leisure battery. So it will give us an indication. And as you can see, it's fully charged. And then next we have the condition of the vehicle battery. Both batteries are charged either by the main supply, the solar panel, or by the alternator when the engine is running. Next we have how much water is on board. As you can see, we've got a full tank at the moment. When your grey water tank needs emptying, you will get a red light flashing just here to let you know you need to be emptying it. When your fresh water drops from the last amber into the red, this amber light here will occasionally flash to let you know. And also if either of the batteries did get very low, again you will get an indication just here. This button here just controls the illumination of the screen. So basically it works like a dimmer switch. As you can see, you can dim it right the way down and right the way back up again. This one here is letting us know that we have main supply connected to the van, and the one above will illuminate when you start the engine to let you know the alternator is charging the batteries. Beside this we then have the Truma Combi control. If we now press this button here, we will go into its main menu. As I rotate the button, we will go over different icons and they will begin to flash. The first one I'm going to go to is the settings menu. In here we have offset, which is just for the thermostat, which is just here. If you don't think it's quite correct, you can just tweak it by a few degrees. We then have temperature, just if you prefer it displayed in Celsius or Fahrenheit. The brightness of the screen. (12 or 24-hour clock). Language. Index, which is mainly just for technicians. It just lets them know what software it's running. As you can see, anything I don't want to necessarily be in any longer, I just press the back button. And full factory reset. From time to time, these units can throw up error codes. The majority of the time there'll be basic stuff like I do not have 12 volt, I do not have main supply, I do not have gas, etc. Error codes will appear where my finger is as a warning triangle. If you then go to it and click on it, it will then display the error code in the window. Either look in the manual or on Truma's website, or if you even Google it, it will then let you know what the problem is. And 9 times out of 10, if you sort the problem out, the error code will then just automatically disappear off the screen. If it doesn't, it's usually a good idea if you've still got stuff running to turn it off. If you've then done that and it's still not responding, the good old-fashioned turn it off, turn it back on again, hold this button in, and the unit will then turn off. You cannot turn it back on again until the off has disappeared on the screen. When you then turn it back on again, if you've still got the error code, I then always then suggest you just do the factory reset. Sometimes that is all that is needed because they can just glitch like any computer. Next we'll go back right way up to the top here and we'll start explaining what each individual symbol is. So this first one is for your heating. So if I now click on it, heating is off. All we now do is rotate and we just pick whatever temperature we would like it to be inside the motorhome, right the way up to a rather toasty 30 degrees. So let's say we want it to be 22 degrees in here. Click on it, and that is now stored in, and you'll see a little flame has appeared above. That little flame there just represents the heating system. It's just letting you know that you've set a parameter. So now if it's not 22 degrees in here, the heating will come on, and as you can see, that is now indicated by it flashing, and it will now continue to flash until 22 degrees is achieved, and then it will go to a solid state. After that, we then have the symbol for hot water. So again, click, hot water is off. All we now do is we rotate, and we can heat hot water in eco mode, which will give us a temperature of about 40 degrees. If I rotate again, we can heat in hot, which will give us a temperature of about 60 degrees. And then if we rotate again, we can also perform a boost on the boiler. The boost was mainly designed for if there's going to be more than one person having a shower in quick succession of each other, or if you want prolonged showers. If I now perform the boost and the heating's running, you'll see the heating turns off. It basically just needs to rob the power to be able to perform it. But what I will now do is click back on it and put it back onto eco, and as you will see, they will then both begin to flash again. You will now see that the eco one has now stopped. I've already preheated the water in here, so it is already at 40 degrees. So if we now run a tap, we will already have hot water. Next we have power source, so what you actually want to be running the system on, whether that's main supply, gas, etc. We're currently using, indicated by the 2 lightning strikes just here, mains electricity using 2 kilowatts. If I rotate, I can lower the power consumption to 1 kilowatt, handy if you're on a low amp site. We can run in dual fuel, so on a mixture of gas and mains at 2, or a mixture of gas and mains at 1. These settings are very handy, especially in the winter months if you want to get up to temperature nice and quickly. It's smart users, so it'll only use gas as it's required. And then obviously if we do not have main supply, we can solely run on gas. If we then move across, next we have the circulation fan for the heating system. So currently the fan is in eco mode. What we can do is just turn the fan up to high. If I now go and turn off the hot water and the heating and return back to the fan symbol, we can also use the fan to vent the motorhome. It has a fan speed of 1 to 10. So on a warm day you can just circulate the air if you want to. Next we have the lower icons, and this first one here is for a timer. So if I now click on it, it will basically ask you when you want the timer to begin and then end. And then you just literally tell it what you want on within that time period. Timer on, timer off. If I now activate the timer, the little icon will appear here, and then within that time period those settings would then apply. Obviously once you've turned it off and go back to it, you can then alter it. Obviously if you're using timers, it helps if the clock's correct, and this one here is the clock. So again, just rotate, and then we're back to the settings menu. This one here is just letting us know that we have main supply connected to the van. Next we actually have the location of the boiler itself, which is just here. So if I now just remove these cushions and then lift up, you will see the boiler itself just here. And then this here is the drain valve for it. These particular drain valves are automatic, So if the temperature inside this van drops below basically about 3 or 4 degrees, this valve would automatically open and jettison all the water out of the boiler itself. We can also manually drain the boiler, and what we basically do is we come to this blue diamond here and we twist it. When we twist it, a blue button will pop out just at the base of the unit here. Do make sure that the water pump is turned off when draining down. As you can see, as I now flick it, the button pops out at the bottom, and if I want to refill it again, twist, push the button back in, and then turn the water pump on, and it will refill. When fully winterizing the van, I always suggest that once you've drained off your fresh and your waste tank and this boiler, that you then also open up all the taps in the van as well. That way, if there is an extremely harsh frost, hopefully the water as it freezes will be forced out the end of the tap into an icicle instead of actually expanding in the pipes and splitting it. If this auto drops, all that will happen is the blue button will pop out of the bottom, and to reset it, all you need to do is push it back in. If you're pushing it back in and it won't stay in, it's obviously still just too cold in the van and you need to turn your heating on to generate some heat. Another reason why the button will not go in is if this blue diamond is in the wrong place. It will just keep popping out. Next in here we also have the split charger just here, and the actual charger itself. We have also this part here which controls basically the solar panel. 12 volt fuses. To be fair, if you're going to blow a 12 volt fuse, it's probably going to be this 20 amp fuse just here, and that is for the electric drop down bed. If you have too much stuff on that bed and you put it up and the motor goes under too much strain, it will pop a fuse to protect itself. And then underneath this cover here we then have the trip switches. So we have the individual MCBs, the RCD and test button as well. If we then just pop down underneath the table, you will see a little switch here. The switch is on when the light illuminates, and that is basically for the tank heater that is found in the waste tank. So again, if you are using the van in extremely cold temperatures and you have water in your waste tank, make sure that this is on and it will stop it from freezing up and causing any damage. The freshwater tank does not have a heater in it, as it is an internal unit and it sits underneath the 2 travel seats at the back here. So it's just located underneath here. You will see the water pump just sits on the top and the tank. We can also gain access to the tank here by unscrewing the black cap, so if you want to add cleaning powders, etc. If we now go to this top locker here, you will see in here that we have the digital amplifier for the television aerial on the roof. We do not need to do anything with it really, just make sure that the boost is really most of the time set to maximum and that it's actually turned on. We can turn it on and off here, but it will obviously go off when we turn the 12 volt off. Also in here we have the iNet box for the heating and the hot water system. So if you want to control your heating and hot water via the Truma app, what you need to do is obviously firstly download the app onto your smartphone or a tablet. Make sure your Bluetooth is turned on, launch the app, and then once it's loaded up you will see a button to press which says remote control. If you then press that, you then basically follow the on-screen instructions. It will firstly ask you to come to this box and push the Bluetooth button just here. It will then send out the Bluetooth signal, and you will then be able to connect up. Once you've connected up to the unit, you will then be able to control your heating and your hot water locally via Bluetooth. If you want to control it from further afield, you can purchase yourself a pay-as-you-go SIM card, which would then slot near where this red GSM flashing light is. Once you've plugged that in and then registered that SIM card through the app, this red light will obviously stop flashing, and then you can control your heating and your hot water from as far away as you like. Next we have the microwave. Do make sure that the plate etc. is all out for travel. It is a microwave grill and combination. Literally just pick on here, and then fairly normal stuff for your timer just there. We then have the Thetford fridge freezer, on and off on the black switch just here. So if I now push that in, this is an automatic model, so as long as we are on for basically A for automatic, it will find the best power source it can for you. So because we're hooked up to main supply at the moment, it's put us on to mains just here. If I now ran outside and pulled the mains lead out, it would then automatically fire itself up onto gas, and as soon as we start the engine, it will then go over to 12 volt maintain. You will see that the illumination disappears after a few seconds. Just literally tap the square again and it will re-illuminate. We can take it out of auto if we want to, just by pressing this button here, and as you can see I can go through all the settings, so we can just put it manually onto mains, manually onto 12 volt maintain. You will see that we have an error code at the moment because the engine's not running, and we can manually put it onto gas. Auto, in my personal opinion, is the easiest one to have it on. We then have temperature control just here, and then this last square here just controls the unit's anti-condensation jacket. Currently the condensation jacket is on. It basically needs to be on in hot climate. It basically stops the unit from having a build up of condensation on the back of it, which then runs down the back of the unit and then creates a puddle underneath it. Obviously in colder climates or during the winter, you can turn it off. Then we have a nice large freezer box just here, and then a very large fridge just here. As it is a very large fridge, you will see that we get a secondary travel catch just down here, so if you do have a lot of stuff in it, we can just flap it across to make it more secure. We then have the aptX television just here. It behaves like any normal TV to a certain degree, on and off just here. Obviously as you change location, it will need to be retuned in. Instead of having the faff of having to go through all your TV setup etc, all you need to do is just hold down this big orange button just here, and it will then take you straight back to the retune menu. Once you've done all that, you've then got all your normal stuff like television guide etc just here. These also come with a DVD player built in, and sitting along the top, USB charge points etc. Next we have the OmniVent fan. To use this, firstly we need to open the roof vent. And then we can turn the unit on and off on the middle button. You will then see we have arrows out for extraction and arrows in for cooling. It is variable fan speed, just keep pressing the button. And as you can see, it's now extracting, and if I now press the opposite button, it will then slow it back down again. And then if I continue to press, the blades will then stop and then spin in the opposite direction and then draw in. Do make sure that obviously this is all closed and all the roof vents are closed for travel. The gas isolation taps are located in the cutlery drawer. So they do all just sit here. So we have the fridge, heating and hot water, barbecue point, and the oven and hob. They're all in the on position, and they can stay like that if you wish. My motto is smell gas in the van, just go to the source and turn the gas bottle off. We then have the extractor fan just here. Light on and off on this one, and then fan on and off on this one. We then have the 2 gas burners and 1 electric hot plate. The electric hot plate operates on this button, knob here I should say. If we then twist it, the red light just comes on to let you know it's in operation. And then we have the gas, just push in, twist and press the igniter. And then beneath that we have the oven and the grill. Push in to the left for the oven and push in to the right for the grill. We then have the shower, and if we now rotate round, we have the toilet. The bowl itself does move all around for comfort. To open to the cassette, just use the grey lever just here, and then to flush, just on the blue button just here. We do have a level indicator in the cassette. This part here will rotate round from green to red when it is full. When removing the cassette from the outside, do make sure that this is obviously closed, because if it's not, it will not remove. We then have the basin just here. And then we have the rear beds just here. We can either use it as it is and then just fold the steps out, or we can pull this bit out here and then get the ladder from the garage, hook it onto here, and then just fold this part over. The electric drop down bed, you do need to make sure that everything is out of the way before bringing it down. We do have full control over it, so as soon as you let go of the button it will stop. You will see that we have all cargo netting that can all be hooked up, stop you from falling out of bed. Obviously ladder just clips onto these points here. If this bed was to completely malfunction, it can be manually wound up and down. So we have this tool here. All it is, basically up here is a 13mm nut. Just pop it in, twist it, and we can wind the bed up and down.